Do medicinal mushrooms really improve memory? Right now in the nutraceutical world, mushroom extracts have taken the world by storm. Very, very popular, and people are using them to improve their memory. People with age-related memory impairment, people with early dementia. But really, is there good science behind them? Well, in this video, I'm going to go through the science, how to use these mushroom extracts, and which are the best 3 mushroom extracts that you can use starting right now. And what I find with patients, when you use the right mushrooms at the right extracts and right doses, you can notice pronounced effects in your memory, your cognitive ability, your concentration within 30 to 60 days. So let's get started. Let's review the top 3. And as I go through the video, you should take notes. And again, these are things that you can start taking right away, and they're safe and effective. So mushroom extract number 1, lion's mane. Lion's mane is known as Hericium erinaceus. Kind of an interesting name. But when you look at the mushroom extract, you can see how it kind of resembles a lion's mane, how it kind of flares out, so to speak. And so lion's mane, also known as 𝐬𝐮𝐫𝐞𝐭, that's the Japanese name. And yes, it grows wildly in Japan, parts of Asia, and people are cultivating it in other parts of the world. And lion's mane really has taken the nutraceutical memory world by storm. And so it's one of the most exciting supplements to come along in a long time because we have such good research on it. Now, lion's mane has several important compounds. It has polysaccharides known as beta-glucans, and those have been shown to help the immune system, but also have protective effects for the brain and nervous system. Then there's these interesting compounds called hericenones, and they're from the fruiting body of the mushroom extract. So when you look at mushrooms, remember you have the mycelium, which is kind of the vegetative root of the mushrooms, and then out of the ground you have the fruiting body, and then also the mushrooms can release spores. And when you look at the studies, different compounds are extracted from different parts of the mushroom. Also, lion's mane contains erinacines, and these are from the mycelium component. And these have been shown to cross the blood-brain barrier and have cognitive improving effects in terms of memory and other related neurological effects. There's also phenolic compounds, which have antioxidant effects. There's also an anti-aging antioxidant known as ergothioneine. And we're going to talk about that more when we get to the golden oyster mushroom extract. But lion's mane also contains this powerful antioxidant which has preserving effects on the brain. But all these compounds in lion's mane are unique because lion's mane has been shown to increase nerve growth factor, known as NGF. And this is a protein that's essential for brain cell growth, repair, and protection. It's also very relevant for conditions like Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. Now, lion's mane, when you look at the studies, it's also been shown to reduce inflammation of the nervous system. And it does this through very well understood inflammatory pathways. It also protects the brain cells from calcium-related damage, which plays a role in how your neurons in your brain communicate to one another and how there's degeneration that can occur when there's imbalances within the calcium levels. But let's look at the human studies on lion's mane. First, let's look at mild cognitive impairment. So in a double-blind placebo-controlled study published in the journal Phytotherapy, Japanese adults ages between 50 to 80 with mild cognitive impairment, they took 1,000 milligrams of lion's mane 3 times a day for 4 months. Well, what were the results? Well, cognitive scores improved significantly at weeks 8, 12, and 16 compared to placebo. Now, the one negative thing that's, if it's negative, is once people stop taking lion's mane, after a period of time, it started to decline. So you can get great improvement in cognitive function, but it seems, at least in this study, you have to stay on it to maintain those benefits. The good thing was there was no adverse biochemical effects when they monitored people with blood levels of different biomarkers. So it was very safe based on blood tests that they did. Now, another study done with young adults ages 18 to 45, and this was a study published in the journal Nutrients. That was in 2023. And they looked at the effects of 1,800 milligrams of lion's mane extract. And what they found, interestingly, was just after 1 dose, participants performed faster on cognitive tests. And after 28 days, they also reported reduced stress levels. So it had 2 benefits. It improved cognitive function, and it helped to balance out the effects of stress in terms of how the brain is perceiving stress. So that's interesting. Now let's look at studies with lion's mane on adults over the age of 50 for people like me. And so in this 12-week randomized placebo-controlled study, the average age of the participants was actually 61.8 years, and people took about 3 grams of lion's mane daily. What were the results? Well, The researchers found that there was significant cognitive improvement and prevention of short-term memory deterioration. So this is important because most of you watching this video are going to be affected by age-related memory impairment. So as you get older, the short-term, the long-term memory, the focus just isn't as good. And so lion's mane can be helpful for that. Now let's look at the more difficult conditions in terms of using lion's mane with. Let's look at early stage Alzheimer's disease. And so a 2020 study involved a 49-week double-blind study, and they used lion's mane extract. And it was in this extract, it was enriched with the compound 𝐟𝐸𝐫𝐶 A. So what were the results? Well, there was improvement in the mini mental state exam, and these were scores that are typically done in clinic. We use it with our patients in terms of screening for problems with cognitive difficulties. They also did brain imaging of certain parts of the brain which are affected by Alzheimer's disease. And what they found was there was improvement in these types of scores that they're monitoring. Those on placebo had declines in a number of these factors. So again, it was showing benefits in early stage Alzheimer's disease. Now, I'm not saying that lion's mane is a cure for Alzheimer's disease. It's not. We're not one of those YouTube channels which makes claims which are ridiculous, but very powerful at showing the effects on early stage Alzheimer's disease. And also, there was a systematic review in 2025, and this is where they looked at lion's mane extracts in different studies, and they found that it consistently improved markers related to Alzheimer's disease, things that you can measure, as well as symptoms. So symptoms that people have with Alzheimer's, obviously that's with memory and mood and things like that. But they did show there's improvement in blood markers, brain structure, and behavior in both animal and human studies. So this is good news. So lion's mane really, I think, is the premier mushroom extract to use in terms of helping cognitive function. But there's more. Let's talk about reishi extract, also known as Ganoderma lucidum. And reishi, also known as 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿 in China, it's been used for thousands of years, and it has the nickname mushroom of immortality because it has health promoting properties, it has anti-aging properties to it. But it's a very complex mushroom. Researchers have identified over 432 bioactive compounds. This includes special sugar chains known as polysaccharides, over 200 different ones. There's terpenoids, over 380 of them. There's sterols and steroidal groups, over 30 of those. And so they have very unique compounds which act to have therapeutic effects on the brain. So for example, when you look at some of these compounds, they've been shown to have anti-amyloid effects, which of course is an issue when it comes to Alzheimer's disease. These are plaques that form in the brain. They also help to improve acetylcholine levels in the brain. So with Alzheimer's disease and other types of memory issues, the neurotransmitter acetylcholine, the levels decrease. And also these key compounds in reishi have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. So multiple effects from one mushroom. Let's look at the studies with Alzheimer's disease and reishi. So this was a study done in the Journal of Dementia and Geriatric Cognitive Disorders, and they took 48 people with Alzheimer's disease. And one group took the common Alzheimer's drug memantine at 20 milligrams a day, while the others took that drug plus reishi extract, 3,000 milligrams a day. And they did this for 6 weeks. Well, in the results, the researchers found that the reishi group had better cognitive scores and improved quality of life with no adverse effects compared to the people who took the drug only. So if you or someone you know is taking memantine as a drug, certainly talk to your neurologist about the potential of using reishi extract along with that medication. Also, another study involved 123 people with Alzheimer's disease, and this was published in the Journal of Medicinal Food, and people took 1,800 milligrams of reishi extract 3 times a day for 8 weeks. And what were the results? Well, there was significant reduction in fatigue and improvement in cognitive function, and they found no toxicity, no problems with liver or kidney function, so shown to be very safe. Now, a review article published in Biomedicine and Pharmacotherapy in 2024, here's how they summarize the effects of reishi extract. It's neuroprotective, it has anti-amyloid effects, helping reduce those plaques that can build up in the brain. It's an antioxidant, it modulates the immune system, and it helps to prevent the reduction of acetylcholine. That neurotransmitter is so important in terms of helping with memory. And they stated that it may help slow Alzheimer's progression. So that's very positive. Now let's talk about a mushroom extract, the third one, which you're probably not aware of. It's called golden oyster mushroom. And again, this is popular in Asian medicine, but it is very unique because this mushroom is very rich in a sulfur-based amino acid called ergothioneine. And And this is an amino acid that humans cannot make. Our body can make some amino acids, but our body cannot make ergothioneine. And so this is important because you're going to see in the studies it has quite a pronounced effect on the brain. But also, golden oyster mushroom contains flavonoids, which are anti-inflammatory, carotenoids, which are antioxidants, the beta-glucans, which are good for the immune system. It also contains prebiotics and other antioxidants. Now, what's unique about this sulfur-based amino acid is that it can cross the blood-brain barrier, and not all substances can do that. It also protects mitochondria, the machines essentially in our cells which produce energy, which is very important for all the organs, including the brain, and it protects the neurons in the brain from oxidative stress damage. It's also been shown in studies to support anti-aging pathways, and it seems to delay the degeneration of the brain and nervous system. Now, unfortunately, Americans do not consume much of ergothioneine. Most Americans, based on studies, consume about 1.1 milligrams a day. Now, when you look at Europeans, they consume on average about 4.6 milligrams a day. And this may be why we have higher rates of chronic brain diseases in America. It's one of the things they're looking at closely. But let's look at some of the studies done on ergothioneine, again, found in golden oyster mushroom. Well, studies with mild cognitive impairment back in 2024. This was in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease. And they studied 19 people ages 60 and older with mild cognitive impairment, and the participants took 25 milligrams of ergothioneine capsules 3 times a week for 1 year. The results, well, they had improved learning ability, stable levels of brain degeneration markers on the tests they did, and also there was no safety issues in the supplementation. Another study done with elderly people, an elderly memory clinic study published in Free Radical Biology and Medicine in 2022. And here they followed 470 elderly patients over 5 years, so a good amount of people and a good amount of time. What were the results? Well, those who had the lower levels of ergothioneine had worse memory, faster functional decline, and greater brain atrophy or shrinking of the brain on scans. So the lower the levels, the more degeneration you had of the brain. Let's look at another study. Another study was a cross-sectional study of 496 people, and this study compared healthy people to those with cognitive impairment and dementia, including Alzheimer's disease. Well, the results showed that the blood levels of ergothioneine were lowest in those with dementia and correlated with white matter damage, brain shrinkage, and disease severity. So to summarize, you can see these are 3 powerful mushroom extracts. So if you use a good quality product at the right dose, the right concentration, we have multiple studies showing they have benefits to the brain. Not only do they help with cognitive function, like memory, for example, but they work more at the root of why the brain degenerates. They also support factors which help with brain regeneration. So I like to use these with my patients. I use them a lot. So if you have cognitive problems or there's a family history of cognitive problems, look into these 3 mushroom extracts. Very powerful, very well researched, and very safe. For more videos on cognitive health and other things related to memory, look at the other videos on my YouTube channel.